Hello.
Hello, Vaultwraith.
Hey, Zach. How are you?
Dude, what the fuck is going on, man? We're doing great, man. We just got done blasting the fucking wax cylinder apparition.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
What the fuck is that shit, man? What the hell is going on, dude? You guys are fucking on some crazy shit, man.
Yeah, it was I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the way the new album came out. Really excited that people seem to be liking it so far, and hope people will be picking it up once the CDs and the records are available.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking bad fucking ass, man. So tell us what's going on in the world of Vaultwraith, man.
Well, obviously we're promoting this album and getting that all wrapped up. We're really looking forward to getting all the different, versions out. We've got to come out on 3 formats this time. Vicious Witch handled the cassettes, so it's already out on that, and it's available out there if anybody wants to pick it up. We've got it coming out on vinyl with, I'm going to butcher this, Adirondack Black Mass. They're the ones that are doing the record. And then Hell's Headbangers is handling the CDs this time around.
Oh, okay.
So other than that, we are working on a 4th album currently.
Well, that's cool, man. You got a whole fucking team of fucking record labels on your back on this one, man, because I didn't even know that. Like, Hell's Headbangers is the one that sent it over to me, and then I was checking it out on Bandcamp, and I was like, man, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's we've been really lucky to work with Hell's Headbangers for multiple releases now. This will be our 3rd album with them. And then we did the split with Acid Witch that came out a couple of years ago. I guess it was last year, maybe.
Yeah, love those guys, man. Awesome, man. So, you know what? One of the first things that grabbed my attention, and like this harkens back to old school ways, man. Album cover art, dude. Like, that's one of the cool things about like all the records that we grew up to in the 80s and shit, man. They all had really cool album covers. You have really cool album covers, dude. And this one, like, right away grabbed my attention. I was like, what the fuck, man? This crazy, evil looking fucking chick.
Yeah, well, like all 3 of the albums, the full lengths we've done have been, the artwork's been handled by Mario Lopez, and he's done a lot of work for other bands, and he even did a guitar pedal for Scotty in a while back, did the graphics for that. He's
no shit.
He's a really busy guy, and he does brilliant stuff. I mean, I believe his preferred method is just, I want to say it's paint on cardboard. And so, I mean, when you see that, it's just unreal, but it's all, hand drawn and done the way those classic albums were done. So it's whenever I see his art, I always just hope, it's like, man, I really hope the music we put out lives up to the artwork, because it's daunting, I'm very humbled by it every time I see it.
Oh, it definitely does, man. So he painted a fucking pedal for Scotty. What pedal?
I don't know what the name of it was, but he did the graphics for it. It's out there. It's I don't know if it's a delay or distortion, what it was, but it's kind of like it's a caricature of Scott when he still had hair,
Real old school, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if it's that Among the Living, distortion. If that is, I probably ought to get one.
That's cool, man. Yeah, dude, that record, man, that was such a great guitar tone that he's always had a good guitar tone, actually, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah.
I've always loved Scott, man.
Yeah. I actually got to meet him once when I was about 18 or so, and made a complete ass of myself. And I've never tried to go out and meet my idol since then. Not because I'm afraid of them being jerks, but because I'm afraid I'll just make an ass of myself. So that,
what happened?
I'm just gonna. Well, they played in my hometown here in Springfield, and this is around, like I said, 98, 99. It was not a high point in their career. They were playing a small club. And whenever the night was wrapping up, I could see where the band, the gear was coming out. I thought, okay, they're going to have to come out this door. I'm just going to go up and I'm going to say hi to Scott, and be cool and just have a conversation with him. And I shit you not, as soon as I got out there, the first thing out of my mouth is, dude, I've listened to Anthrax since I was 12 years old. And he hears that 20 times a day. He does. But he was cool. He was really chill about it. He just wanted to get back to his bus, and but he talked for a while. Nice guy, but yeah, like I said, I made an ass of myself.
He probably didn't think that, man. I'm sure he probably appreciated it, man.
Yeah, he like I said, he was pretty down to earth and nice guy for sure.
Yeah. I remember one time when I was younger, I saw 6 Feet Under in a small club, and after the show, Steve Swanson came down, and the guys were packing up everything, and like everybody was pretty much gone, and me and one of my friends were in there, and I don't know, we were just talking to him for a second about, I can't even remember what, but like for some reason I thought it was a good idea to pull out this pipe that I had in my pocket and be like, let's smoke a bowl, man. And he was like, okay. And we're just standing there hitting it, and then we were talking about something, and then all of a sudden he was just gone. And I was like, where did he go?
Right.
I was like, man, that weed that I had that night was really shitty. So I'm like, yeah, that's maybe, I don't know. I was thinking maybe overthinking about it. I'm like, I probably fucking pissed him off because he's probably like, what the fuck is this? These fucking assholes.
I never know.
I totally understand what you mean, though, about like never meeting your heroes. But then again, I talked to a lot of them here on the show, man. So, like... I was listening to your bump at the beginning of the show. I thought, oh, wow, he's really interviewed a lot of people, like your Max and the people from Cradle of Filth on there and everything else, man. It's pretty wild. Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Fucking, oh my God, man. One time we had Paul Diano from Iron Maiden on here, and he's really, really cool too, man. Like totally down to earth, man. But like, I'm always nervous and thinking, like, are they going to be an asshole? Or is it going to piss me off and like maybe not want to listen to the records anymore? But that's thankfully that's never actually happened. But I'm just always paranoid about it for some reason.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about, like, when I was talking to you about the, music living up to the album art, I was just thinking about it the other day, Iron Maiden's Killers was one of the first, that's probably the first Iron Maiden on my own, not because I was digging on Maiden in 82, I was 2 years old, but because that was one of the first ones I got my hands on. And I bought the record because records were cheap at the time, and I had a record player. And I remember just listening to that, and specifically that like dual guitar harmony and the instrumental Genghis Khan, where it's just like massive reverb, and just staring at that album art and thought, this is exactly what an album that looks like this should sound like,
Absolutely.
And I love Killers. That's probably one of my absolute favorite albums. It's just it's magical, man. It's just, Maiden always changed their sound up, but I've never heard anything that sounds like that. When people emulate Iron Maiden, they're usually emulating the Bruce era. I've never heard anything that sounds even close to Killers. It's like a genre in its own.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. Definitely is. Yeah, they were on to something, man.
Yeah, it's a really cool album.
So, well, about you, man, like tell us, give us a little brief history on your musical background. Like, what got you into music, and how did you get started, man?
I mean, it's as far as playing guitar goes, just about like anybody my age. I got into Metallica, and Metallica was accessible. You kind of pick up some of their songs, and those tab books are readily available. So I was getting my hands on those, and I was about 12 and everything, and learning that stuff. And then, of course, from there, it's just they're a gateway drug to a lot of stuff, because then you find Slayer, and then you get into the heavier stuff. I started playing in bands when I was about 15, and initially I played with just like some kind of local punk rock bands and stuff like that, and recording on my own with a very primitive means. I didn't have a 4-track, just had like a dual cassette karaoke machine that I used to record with.
Yeah. I remember those days.
Yeah, doing stuff like that. And then when I was about 20, I got into a local heavy metal band. I guess I need to back up some. So I need to kind of tell you how I got into local music. Well, there was a heavy metal band in Springfield called Public Assassin. And Public Assassin is very notable for one reason outside of Springfield, and that is Richard Christie was in Public Assassin. Of course, he went on to join Death later on their last album, Control Denied, and he's toured with a lot of other bands, and I think he's still working for the Howard Stern Show now. But so discovering Public Assassin, that was the first time I'd ever heard death metal. Like, I wasn't familiar with all the Floridian death metal bands or anything like that. I knew about this local band, and I could find their demos at this local record store. And to actually hear somebody from my town playing this really unique heavy music I'd never heard before was very inspiring. And so from there, I discovered a lot of other local bands, and then I started going to shows when I was about 14 or so. So then, 15, that's when I started getting into my first band and things like that, and started playing out around pubs and clubs and everything, and never toured or anything like that. But I've consistently been in and out of bands in my local area since I was 15, and I'm 42 now, so I've been at it for a few years. And then just various recording projects and stuff like that. And, I've I've worked on some albums that have been on Razorback Records, which is Billy Nacera's label. Yeah. And so did some projects with that, and that got to me and Billy working together and eventually starting Vaultwraith. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of a brief history. That's really, I guess, a very condensed version of it all.
Fuck yeah, man! Well, that's badass, dude. So what's coming up next for you guys, man?
Just like I said, working on this fourth album, and I think Mario's already, agreed to do the artwork for us. So I can tell you for sure that the album cover will be amazing. I know that much. I have enough confidence in that, and I hope people will like the music too. I'm pretty happy with what I've laid down so far. Billy's in the process of working up the vocals and the lyrics and everything else. So just doing that now, brainstorming and putting ideas together, and then eventually getting it all recorded.
Hell yeah, man. What about any live shows or anything like that?
No live shows planned. I mean, as of right now, I'm recording all the instruments myself. So to do it proper live, I would have to get the right group of musicians together. And then, Billy and I are quite a few states away. He lives in New York. I live in Missouri. So I don't really get together a lot. So it's just been a lot of trading WAV files and putting albums together that way.
Do you ever think about putting together something where you guys could play live?
I mean, it would be fun. I would be into it. But again, I'd have to find the right group of people to do it and everything. And that's a lot of rehearsal. So I think I'd be open to it. I don't know how Billy would feel about it, though.
I hear you, man. Well, yeah. You mentioned Missouri, man. And I know earlier in the week when we were talking, you told me that you knew the Gravehuffer guys, man. You tell us about that. Like, how'd you...
Yeah, we see the guys in Gravehuffer, mostly Richie and Mike, that are in the current lineup. Were in a band called Initial Detonation in the late 90s. And while they were doing Initial Detonation, I was in a band called The Fremen here in Springfield. And we used to play shows down in Joplin with them. And even earlier than Initial Detonation, Richie was in a duo with another guy named Larry, and Richie played guitar and did vocals, and Larry did bass and vocals, and they had a drum machine, and they had a project called Satan's Ice Cream Truck. Yeah. And if you ever get a chance, I think he's put that stuff up on Bandcamp. Yeah. It's a riot, man. It's dude. So much fun. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, so those guys have been at, that kind of stuff for 20 plus years now. I mean, just working together. So they've got a lot of experience working together and writing music, and that new Gravehuffer album's awesome. I really love it.
Yeah, it's badass, man. They're cool as fuck. Yeah, I've talked to them a million times here on the show, and we even met them last year at our first Tennessee Metal Devastation Music Fest. Man, they came down and played, and they
was that the one that was getting like protested by the local Christian groups?
Yeah, dude,
that's hilarious.
And they tore it up, man. I'm gonna say, man, like they played.
I can't remember, like, it was mid-afternoon, but as far as I remember, they were the first band to get a mosh pit going, and I was like,
Sweet.
Fuck yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about, man. But people were fucking flying everywhere, dude. I was like, yeah, dude, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, they've been at it for a long time now. Gravehuffer's awesome.
Yeah, they're badass, dude. Definitely badass.
Yeah.
The new record's badass, but like their live show, their live sound is like a whole nother level, man. Like there's just something about it. I keep telling him, man, they need to put out a live record because that's just, I don't know, but yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I think they've got the means to do it. I think they're doing all their own recording now and everything, so that's awesome.
It's funny talking to you now. It reminds me so much of all the times I talked to Richie because you guys have a similar accent.
Yeah, it's probably that very much Midwest. I mean, Joplin's about like an hour and a half from here, so we basically, we're in each other's backyards, and we're roughly the same age.
That's cool as hell, man.
Well, it was cool too because when I met Richie, because like I said, I was playing in punk rock bands, and I still had all my metal influences, but obviously a lot of the punk rockers weren't into the same kind of stuff I was into. So, like, I don't know, I think I casually mentioned something about Judas Priest or something around Richie, and he said, and this is when we were like 18, he goes, "Oh yeah, man, I have all their albums." And I'm like, "Really?" It's just like, oh my gosh, a kindred spirit. It's like, so finding a Judas Priest fan amongst the punk rockers, it was kind of an anomaly back then. So I was really happy to meet, a fellow metalhead back then.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. Well, for all the gearheads out there that are wondering, man, can you give us a little rundown of like some of the stuff that you're using to make these sounds, man? Like some amps, pedals, and shit like that?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, my gear talk's not going to be too exciting. I use a virtual amp. Those
are badass, dude. Like, there's a lot of really good ones right now, man.
Yeah, the one I use on Vaultwraith, it's called it's a Dominator, and I want to say that's an Audio Assault plug-in. And it's I think they had a sale one time. I picked it up for $7, and it's like, yeah, okay, this sounds good. It's crunchy, and I picked a tone and have been kind of sticking with it ever since. The drums are all live. That's my Pearl kit I have, and it's just like, it's nothing fancy. It's basically an entry-level drum set, but we decided we wanted to do live drums after the second album, and I had to get decent enough to play my own songs, and so did that. The bass, I think, was straight into the board on that. I use it's just an old Ibanez 5-string that I got from somebody, and I just don't play the top string. And then my guitar I've been using for the last several years is an Ibanez Artist. I'm not entirely sure much more than that. I don't know, it looks like a Les Paul, but it's not. It's a hell of a lot lighter than a Les Paul.
That's cool, man. That's cool as fuck that you can play drums too, though, man. Because like, I make a lot of my own music myself, but all I do is play guitar and bass and sing. But like, I can't play drums, man. So I use the fucking Easy Drummer thing, man. But I've always wished, man. Like, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I used Easy Drummer on the second Vaultwraith album. So it was I think before that there was a free plug-in out there called NT Power Kit, and it's still out there, but that's what I programmed. I programmed the drums for the first album, but when we handed that off to Patrick Bruss to do the mastering and mixing on that, he used some other drum software he had. So it's all my programming, but I think he used like Power Drummer or something like that. I think that whatever the more expensive version of Easy Drummer is.
Nice. Well, it's pretty amazing though, like what all the how far technology has come, man. Like it's a really good time to be a musician like right now, man, because there's so many options. Like just you can almost go sick with like trying to figure out what to use, because there's just so much stuff out there, and it all really sounds pretty good, man.
Yeah, well, and it's the other thing, too, is just there's no shortage of just tutorials on how to do things on YouTube. It's just all these things that were a mystery to us, growing up, it's all become revealed. And so you can get these, expensive studio sounds with just, a couple $100 worth of gear at your own house. And that's nice because, you don't have to pay for expensive studio time. However, there is a lot of value in going to an actual studio for people that can afford it. I'm not one of those people, but I've heard people do really cool stuff in studios. And, yeah, but I like doing it all myself. An infinite amount it takes, and don't have to worry about paying anybody for an hour.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's definitely cool, man. Yeah, there's a lot of records that are being done right now at home with home studios, and they sound absolutely spectacular, man. Like, it's
exactly.
It's crazy, man. Some of the stuff that we grew up listening to, those old records, man. Like those bands were spending thousands, man. Like, like fucking crazy, dude. Like, on all that stuff, and I don't know.
I made a post a while back about how, like, I'll be recording on my own. And it's just like, okay, I got a little off the click track on that. I should probably record this entire song again, and just taking hours doing one part or something. But then, like, going back and listening to some song that was, like, rush recorded by drunk teenagers and sounds like it was engineered by, someone with tinnitus, and just thinking, God, this sounds amazing. It's just because that raw charm to it. But then again, there are really great albums out there that people did put a lot of work into as well.
It is cool watching YouTube and seeing, like, a lot of these producers and engineers, different people talking about all the little hacks and tricks and stuff too. You don't always have to spend a shit ton of money to get a good sound. Like I was watching Glenn Fricker's channel not too long ago, and he was talking about a guitar hack of getting, like, a really good guitar sound, and he was talking about some other well-known producers. I think even one of the guys that did one of the Metallica records, saying that they went through a whole bunch of different things, preamps and mixers and stuff, and they couldn't figure out how to get a good guitar sound, and they finally just went with a cheap fucking Behringer fucking mixer, and it had the perfect sound for a guitar, and it just gave it that natural fucking, I don't know, that just a little extra on the crunchiness going in. And I'm like, that's what I have. I'm like, that's right here at my desk.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, it's fucking cool, man. Like, you don't always have to have the same shit that, I don't know. It's, it's fucking metal too, like, it's not fucking, we're not recording Celine Dion or fucking some crazy shit like that,
Yeah, well, if you polish it too much, I feel it. For me, it takes away from a lot. One of the, like, benchmark albums I go with is, like, Necrophage's Holocausta della Morte.
Hell yeah.
And the reason I love that album so much, and I'll explain it to people, it's like, look, there's a lot of metal out there. What they do, it's obviously very aggressive. It's very technical. It sounds amazing. When I see it live, it's really cool. But when I listen to it, to me, it's like, yes, it's heavy, but it's heavy in, like, say, like, if you just suddenly got your hand cut off by a table saw, it's over with in a flash, and it happens. That Necrophagia album is like having someone saw your head off with a hand saw very slowly. It grinds. It hurts. It's just like, it's heavy in a completely different way. It's disturbing and it's raw. And like I said, it's just a different vibe, but that's the kind of vibe I really like. That being said, I don't think I've come close, but
that is the best description I've ever heard of that record. You are 100% right, dude. Yes.
I mean, there's so much about that, like the way they did it. It's like, and I didn't come into that album being a big Pantera fan. I was aware of Pantera and everything else, and, like, I'd heard, it's like, okay, well, Phil's on this. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I listened to it, though. It's just like, oh my God, these riffs are just so sick, and just that the discordant harmonies and that and everything, where I think they just, like, tuned something down, just maybe not even quite a half step, and just like, yeah, that album has a charm that it's infectious, and I've loved that album since the first time I heard it.
He's actually a really good guitar player, man. Like, there's a a lot of riffs in Pantera albums that he actually wrote, that he, was sitting there playing and showed to Dime, and then Dime took it to a whole nother level. But there was a lot of stuff that did come out of his mind, man. So he's definitely got his own thing, man. It would be cool to hear him on guitar again at some point. I don't know if he'll ever do it, but
yeah, but that's that album for me. Well, that and that follow up the Cannibal Holocaust EP too. That was
those videos too, man. Those videos were crazy, man. What the fuck? That shit was sick as fuck.
I was in this heavy metal band called Dark Covenant right around 99, 2000, and the drummer and the guitar player got that Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead VHS at a local record store, and so they'd be playing that at practice, and we'd be watching it in between sets, and it was a magical time.
Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, well, I'm about out of questions for you, dude. Is there anything else you want to let the people know?
If you've been checking out our music, we definitely appreciate it. Hope you pick up this album. Again, we've got it coming from Adirondack Black Mass on vinyl. It's out there already from Vicious Witch on cassette, and coming soon from Hell's Headbangers on disc. So, and it's out there digitally already if you want to stream it, all that fun stuff.
And today is Bandcamp Friday, too, so anybody listening, man, get on Bandcamp and buy that shit, motherfucker.
Absolutely. Pick it all up, and definitely. And, check out Gravehuffer, Acid Witch, and everybody else, and keep listening to Metal Devastation.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Vaultwraith, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio."
All right. This is the Warlock from Vaultwraith, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Fuck yeah. Fucking Warlock, man. That's right. I forgot that's your name, man. I should have called you that.
It's all good.
My bad. Fucking badass, though, man. Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us, dude. Really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, anytime. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to blast some more fucking Vaultwraith for these motherfuckers so they can go crazy, all right?
Sweet.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later, dude.
All right, later.
Cheers.
Thanks.
There you have it, folks. Vaultwraith live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway. Do whatever you got to do, man. If you're in the basement, duct tape your speakers to the ceiling. If you're in the attic, put your speakers at the floor. If you're in the back of an Uber car or a taxi cab or a bus, pull your fucking earbuds out and fucking crank this motherfucker up loud as a fuck, man. If you don't